We are all in.
Ma'am, we are in order. Ma'am, we can now proceed with the meeting. Good morning, Honorable Speaker.
Good morning. I would then want us to go first to our apologies. Do we have any apologies?
Madam Speaker, I have not received any apology from my side.
Thank you. Then we go for the consideration of the agenda. Is the agenda in order, honorable members?
Madam Speaker, it's Natasha. I assume that under general procedures, and when the procedural officers talk to us, we'll speak about SONA. And that being the case, I would then like to move for adoption of the agenda.
Thank you, ma'am. Is there any seconder?
I would second that, ma'am.
Thank you very much. We proceed to item number 3, minutes of the 26th of November. Have we all had sight of the minutes?
I have, Madam Speaker, and they look okay.
Yes. Members, can we put the minutes page by page? Can we start with the first page? Is there anything we wish to correct there? None? Page 2. Page 3. Page 4. And page 5. Thank you very much. Does this mean that the minutes do reflect the meeting of the 26th of November last year?
I confirm that, Madam Speaker.
Member Jordina, I see your hand.
Yes, thank you very much, Honorable Speaker, and greetings to all honorable members on the platform, Deputy Speaker. Deputy Speaker must learn to raise the hand. I move for adoption of these minutes as a true reflection.
Oh,
Deputy Speaker, we assume that you will second.
Madam Speaker, in spite of what the Chief Whip is saying about me.
Thank you very much. Honorable members, we move on to item number 4. Member Jordina, unless you are speaking on item number 4. Mem Kalipe, you are on item number 4?
Speaker, item number 4 could be matters arising.
Yes, it is.
Yes, Speaker, I think on page 2, whereby we got a report regards to NYDA, if Madam Speaker can also update us in that regard.
Okay. Is there any other matter on item number 4 on page 2? Okay. Honorable members, I'm going to ask the Chief Whip of the Majority Party and Tate Kaso to come in also. You will remember that we received that report here, NYDA, that I subsequently said on this platform that we had received a number of complaints, and interestingly, complaints from both sides. Those who said the process was not fair, those who said the process was fair and I was nominated and therefore I demand. And we then took this matter back in, because what we on our own, when we started receiving the complaints, we did was to look at the process and to look at the end result and the report of the committee to the House. What struck us was that, in fact, there were categories of communities in South Africa which were not reflected on the end result, the product of the committee. But we then assumed that the committee would be able to actually give us a good explanation. The report went to the House. The House then sent the report back to the committee. Subsequently, we have been tested really on this matter. And that is why I was asking the Chief Whip of the Majority and the Klaso to come in there. Because we're still getting a lot of flack over this. If I had it my way, I would start this process all over, so that everybody is satisfied that there was openness, there was fairness, so that the people who performed well get a chance to prove that, in fact, they got in because, in fact, they performed. And so that those who were left out actually can see that they were left out. Chief Whip will remember that there was even a discussion about whether or not we shouldn't have an ad hoc committee. Now, I confess that I rejected that outrightly, because we would be setting a very bad precedence that when there is a committee that was established to do certain work, and when that work does not satisfy us or the public, we bring in. That means we start now interfering with the powers of the committees. And that would not be correct. So I'm in your hands on this one, Chief Whip, and Dade Klaso, and the rest of the members. Majodina, do you want to come in? Dade Naran Singh, I see your hand too.
Honorable Speaker, thank you very much. The background that we have just presented here is a correct and true reflection. The step we were in was for the committee. After the
the sound is very bad.
My sound.
Maybe we should put the video off.
I'm trying that. Yeah,
Yes.
I'm trying to put it off. Okay, I'm for that. I'm trying to keep the video off. It's just that it's refusing to.
Problem.
Are you winning?
Madam Speaker,
who are not winning, can we jump on to Ndate Klaso while you fiddle? Klaso?
Madam Speaker.
Ndate Singh, I have noted you.
Okay, thank you.
Mem Mazoni, I have noted you too. Mem Kalipi, noted.
Thank you, Madam Speaker.
I raise my hand also, Speaker. Honorable Nhlangweni, sorry. Thank you.
Okay. Ndate Klaso?
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Ma'am, I do not have much to say except that the last step that was taken was for this matter to be referred to the committee with a legal opinion, with the concerns that the Speaker had conveyed to the committee, for the committee to deliberate on the issues and give a report back. Now, on the basis of a report from the committee, a decision would then need to be taken as to how to take the process forward. In other words, should it be started afresh, or should what the committee would have reworked be taken to the House? So it is at that point, ma'am, that a decision needs to be taken as to how to proceed with the matter. Thank you. I might just add, ma'am, we're trying to assist House Chairperson Frolic to get onto the platform. ICT is talking to him. Maybe he might have something to add on this. Thank you.
Okay. Mayor Majodina, are you fine now? Can we try your sound, Chief Whip of the Majority Party?
Yes, I'm on now. Can we now speak?
Yes, we can hear you. Please proceed before I take Ntatesi.
Thank you very much, Speaker. I was saying, Speaker, what the background that you have given to the meeting is a correct one, and the process is where Mr. Castle is talking to, that we are waiting for the committee report based on the guidance that they received from the legal unit. So we'll take it from there. So that's the last step to take us forward. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Ntate.
Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker, and good morning, Honorable Speaker and colleagues. Sorry, I joined a bit late. Honorable Speaker, I think we must make 2021 a year of decisiveness. And we shouldn't be running around in circles. This matter has been on the table for a long time now, and I would support, and my party would support, a de novo process. I think that will be quicker than looking for opinions and doing everything else. But let's do a de novo process and get it over with and get this board functioning as it should be. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Member Soni?
Thank you very much, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, I would like to agree with the approach that we start afresh. I think that there was a lot of nastiness that occurred around this particular issue. And by the word nastiness, I use it perhaps as an innocent term, but things were not done correctly. There are rumors in corridors that we need to take very seriously. And I don't think that this particular board will have any actual gravitas or any form of standing if we do not start the process from afresh, and certainly from Parliament's side keep an eagle eye on the processes to make sure that they are absolutely 100% above board and in line with the rules of Parliament. So the Democratic Alliance would move in favour of the process starting from fresh. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
Thank you very much. Ma'am Kalipi Mentlangwini.
Okay, thank you very much, Speaker. I just want to raise a concern, Speaker, because this matter was discussed here on the 26th of November, 2020. And according to the minutes here, we're going to make a follow-up in terms of the chairperson, a frolic in the committee on the following week, which was going to be on the 1st of December. And it's January now. It seems as if there is no way forward in terms of the guidance that the Speaker was supposed to provide on this issue. Speaker, we have discussed this matter in this platform, and then we raised our concern that the NYDA is without a board for a long time. And when the Speaker intervened, we were hoping that this matter will be speedily resolved. So I want to say to the Speaker, please, can you just update us next week? What is the latest in terms of a way forward? Because really some things that are also being said in corridors, it does not augur well with us as members of the committee here. And you don't want to take those things that are just heard outside Parliament if it's true. So that's why we are banking on you as the Speaker of Parliament to give guidance on this one, so in order to close this matter. Thank you, Speaker.
Thank you. Mentlangwini?
Thank you very much, Speaker. I want to by now we would have expected that in this meeting would have had a committee report to state what have happened, because this matter have been really long on the agenda, and it seems that there's not much work done to actually give us as the programming committee and WIPs a way forward. And we want to also support, like, there needs to be a process that is going to be fair and democratically spread throughout South Africa. We can't be having an NYDA that is based, that majority of his board members are maybe, for instance, only people that is in Gauteng. That is not a free and fair process, Speaker. And it's upon us when the stakeholders, which is the community at large that this board will serve, say to us, look into these problems and look into this matter. we can overturn that, Speaker. It's not a year or there. We need to listen to communities out there that state that they were not treated fairly, the process was not fairly, and restart the process if needs be. And those chairpersons of that committee needs to be also hold account to the money that was spent on these interviews. They can't be having a process that is not free and fair, and then we restart the process and there's not much consequences on the individuals that have held these interviews, and that was part of parcel of this corridor speaking information that we are getting. I think for next meeting, Honorable Speaker, the committee need to speedily up their report so that we have a report and make a decisive decision in this committee. Thank you, Speaker.
Thank you very much. Did Honorable Frolik manage to get onto the platform?
Yes, Madam Speaker. Good morning. I'm on the platform now.
May we give you the baptism of fire? You have heard what we are interacting on, and it is true that when we last closed off on this matter, you were going to go into the committee and give us a report. Do you have anything to add to what we have so far?
Speaker, I got into the tail end of the discussion when the honourable member of the EFF was concluding her remarks. If I can just get clarity on which specific point we are.
We are exactly where we were on the last meeting of the 26th of November on the NYDA. You would remember that we undertook to go back to the committee. We had a legal opinion. We had also in front of us a suggestion that we might look at another committee, which I think would set a very bad precedence. But specifically, we had anticipated, in fact, expected that you would have had a meeting and reported back to us by the first week of December. That's where we are. So
no,
we're simply saying, was there any work done, anything?
No, thank you, Honourable Speaker, and good morning, Honourable Members, and my apologies, I had difficulty connecting to this meeting. Honourable Speaker, indeed, the legal services went back to the committee with the legal opinion that was given, and the committee deliberated on the matter. Subsequent to that, that was in the first week of December that they only met. That is the week when we closed. Subsequent to that, there were certain matters that were raised by the committee chairperson, which is more of a political nature, that required further discussion, also with the office of the Chief Whip. And I am awaiting now, the option was given there to say about the legal services made it clear in terms of the problems that was encountered during these interviews. And the option was put forward to say that it would be in the best interest of the Parliament, and specifically in this instance, the National Assembly, because the NCOP members were also part of this committee of the interviews, to restart the process again. That's where we are, Honourable Speaker, and I'm waiting for official communication from the chairperson of that committee.
In that case, Honourable Members, it would seem that we are all of the same mind that the process must be restarted. If we are, the last time the House deliberated on this issue was to return the report to the committee. Does this mean that we must come back to the House and formally adopt a position that says we, as the House, recommend that this process be restarted? I'm not worried about corridor talk. At my age, I've had too many negative things in the corridors. What we need to do is to try and be as open, as procedural as possible. Also, you'll remember one of the really bad shortcomings around this process was that when the committee started finalizing the questions to candidates, they had a closed meeting. And I think from that point onwards, there was an almost something that says, why do you close the meeting when you... But at that instance, we understood that you couldn't be open on an open platform and say, these are the questions that we are going to put. Because you then needed the committee to put heads together and to come up with this. But just advise us on the procedural thing that so do we need to go back to the House?
Madam Speaker, thank you. We would definitely need to go back. The committee was asked to report back to the House, so the committee must fulfill that step. The House then needs to decide, when we restart this process, how do we restart it? Do we establish an ad hoc committee? Is it referred to the same committee, same members who dealt with the previous issue? So that's a decision that must be taken. If it's an ad hoc committee, the ad hoc committee will obviously be established by the House. If it's the committee, then the matter must be referred afresh to that committee for consideration. Thank you.
Ma'am Jordina, your hand is up.
Honorable Speaker, thank you very much. Honorable Speaker, I support what Chair of Chairs, Mr. Frolik, have said, that let's restart the process. And this was our initial submission. However, what I want us not to do, Honorable, through you, Chair, Honorable Mazoni, is to bring corridor rumors to an official meeting of Parliament. That might cost us. But having listened to other parties, that let's restart the process, let's do that, and the table staff to manage the report back by the committee to the House. Then on that particular day, we table a motion of restarting the process. But as you have said, Honorable Speaker, earlier on, that ad hoc committee is a no. Let the committee do its work based on the mandate. Chair, what I might not agree on, the chairpersons of those committees must then be hold accountable for funds that were used for these interviews. That I won't support, because what we are talking about here is the final process of what has happened, but it's not about individuals who are chairing the meeting. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I heard Honorable Shivambu. Is your hand still up?
Yes, Speaker, my hand is still up. I want to recommend.
Please proceed.
Yes, no, thanks, Speaker. I wanted to recommend that instead of referring the same process to a committee which evidently just took an instruction from a section from the ruling party for factional purposes, let us instead establish an ad hoc committee which is going to comply with the legislation of the NYDA in constituting a board of the agency, because the act of the NYDA says, amongst other things, that when you are constituting a board, you must look into the demographics that reflect South Africa and also the geographic spread as well. So those parameters must be clearly stated from the beginning. And I don't think that the same committee that did not even look into the legislation, they were just given a list and then just published it as was. With that letter, it's not a rumor, it's a letter instruction from Honorable Mahabeshala, who said that appoint these people, and all of them were appointed like that. So let's constitute another committee. So what will happen is that when the report is brought to Parliament, we'll reject it, and then a separate motion is tabled that let us restart it by re-establishing now an ad hoc committee which is going to specifically look into this with even a shorter time frame, or the shortest possible time frame, and then that will report to Parliament, and then conduct that through the virtual platforms until it is concluded. But with an emphasis that let us not deviate from the act of the NYDA in terms of demographic profiles. Gender must be balanced, disability.
We are losing you.
That have to be. Yeah, so those are the issues that they were emphasizing, that let us constitute an ad hoc committee. Let us not refer it to the same committee that they blundered on this. I think it will not be sensible to give it back to them with the same mistakes that they made before.
Thank you. Ntate Julius?
Thank you very much, Speaker. I just want to delve into the issue of the corridor topics. I beg to differ with the Chief Whip. Corridor topics is a form of anecdotal evidence that must be investigated. If you hear something, you need to do something about it. We always include it. And
we're losing you, Ntate Julius. Honorable Julius, we've lost you.
In this instance, it must, sorry, ma'am, I'm back. Was a
yeah,
call
this
coming
iPhone is
but
playing.
It's not to say that I think someone on this call is actually calling me when I'm talking. But Madam Speaker, it's just that I call for further investigation, and these things must be included in every topic that we have. If you hear something in the corridors, it is worth investigating. Please don't ignore it, and let's not play around with words. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
Thank you very much. Ntate, hope.
Speaker, I think Member Shivambo has made a proposal. The issue raised by Member Julius that gossip must be investigated, I think really, in a formal meeting of Parliament to make such a statement. It's out of order, actually. We hear so much gossip about individuals and so on. If nothing is formally put to the committee, how do we investigate it? Are we going to delay the process of the NYDA because of the gossip? I'm a bit surprised at the input.
Thank you, Ntate. Ntate Lichisa, you are the last hand I see.
Thank you very much,
Madam
Speaker. Am I audible now?
Yes, you are.
Thank you very much, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, the sense I'm getting is that we are agreeing that we should restart the process. I want to suggest that I agree also with the committee being asked to proceed with the same thing. I don't agree with the ad hoc committee for the reasons you initially rejected it. And I also agree that the legislation and its requirement for an inclusive consideration of those who are appointed is a critical one. This is the emphasis when you write to the committee that this the following criteria as contained in legislation must be followed. No excuse must be accepted for reasons to deviate for that unless it is a substantial reason for deviating from the inclusiveness as required and so on. The other peripheral stuff, Madam Speaker, including of rumors, is out of order. The rules make it very clear that we must work on the basis of evidence and substantively researched issue, not to come and introduce it in the course of our discussions. That now that I've heard in the grapevine, in the bar, that there's this rumor and that rumor. No. We won't accept that. I think people expect better from us than to do our work that way. Thanks, Madam Speaker.
Thank you very much. Honorable members, I agree that the meeting... Ndate Sheikh, did you have your hand up?
No, Madam Speaker.
Yes,
Natasha
yes,
had her
Madam
hand up.
Speaker, thank you very much. Thank you, Madam Speaker. Can I go ahead?
Yes, please.
Thank you. Let me apologize for coming in a bit late. I was battling to actually get in. But I note that, Madam Speaker, that you seem to have got a fair knowledge of what happens in the corridors. So I think you're well informed and well advised. But thank you very much for that. I think what is very important that we cannot allow this matter to drag on any further. And I think I agree with all my colleagues that we need to proceed. But I also think, there is no need for an ad hoc committee. I think, like you said, we're going to be setting a precedent in ad hoc committee after ad hoc committee. And I think this is going to drag the process even further. I think we should continue. But yes, indeed, I think we can, maybe through some process, advise the committee of our concerns in terms of what has been going on. But I think this matter needs to proceed urgently with the committee. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Natasha, you are the last.
Thank you very much, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, the very last thing I would want to do is to upset the Deputy Speaker or Honourable Papo. So I withdraw my comment on speaking about gossip or corridor talk. And what I will do is I will follow the correct channels of Parliament, and I will bring a substantive motion with the evidence that I have. And I hope that will put me in better books with both of them, because at the start of the new year, I wouldn't like to upset either one of them. So I will be bringing a substantive motion then. Thanks, Madam Speaker.
Thank you very much. That will be helpful, because the resources have been spent, time has lapsed, public outcry is high, tensions within the committee and amongst the two houses have been rising. So it isn't that we have all been happy about it. I would like to see any structure Parliament comes up with reflect the seriousness that Parliament has taken to come out with a project. Whether it is a one-person structure, whether it is, but it has to reflect who we are as a country. So I take it that we will start immediately. So you are listening to work on this Chief Whip of the Majority Party, that the report comes back to the House as speedily as possible, that we work on this. But that also, that Mayor Natasha, you are undertaking to bring a formal complaint, and then we will deal with this matter that way. Because also not to do anything is to set a very bad precedence. We cannot allow this thing to go on. We need to be dealing with it very decisively. Honourable members, can I return you back to the matters arising then? We were on page 2. Is there any other matter arising? Any member? I don't see any hand.
Yes, Honourable Speaker.
Member Jordina?
Yes, there is a matter on which I think, just to close it off, that Mr. Kaso and the team were working on in terms of checking the allocation on rotational basis for smaller parties. I think that will be effected as we move on. Thank you.
Yes, and Kaso, I hope you will be ready to come back to us on that matter.
Yes, Madam Speaker, I will be.
Okay, can we move on? Is there any other matter? On the next page? On page 3? On page 4? And on page 5? Okay. Okay. I take it that puts paid to the item 4. Can we then proceed to item number 5? Committee section.
Good morning, Madam Speaker, honorable members and colleagues. Our report starts on slide number 4. It is the ad hoc committee to amend section 25 of the Constitution. The program we received indicated that the committee was planning to consider the report on public participation on the 26th and 27th. That activity has been postponed, and we have been informed that the committee is likely to review its program, but other activities are as follows. The committee is planning to consider the responses by the legal services on the 2nd and the 3rd of February, and also deliberate on the bill on the 9th and the 10th of February, the 2nd and the 3rd of March, with the plan to finalize on the 9th of March. The next update, Madam Speaker, is on slide number 7. It is the matter before the Standing Committee on Finance, that is South African Reserve Bank Amendment Bill. The committee is planning to consider the responses by the legal services on the 10th of March, deliberations on the 16th of March, and finalize the report on the 17th of March. The next update is on slide number 10, Madam Speaker. It is a matter before PC on Home Affairs, Electoral Laws Secondment Amendment Bill. The committee is planning the briefings on the 9th of March, and further activities will be scheduled. The next update is on slide number 12. It is the State Liability Amendment Bill before PC on Justice and Correctional Services. The committee is planning briefings on the 26th of January, my apologies, and further activities will be indicated. The next update is on slide number 14, also before PC on Justice and Correctional Services. It is Criminal Laws, Sexual Offences and Related Matters Amendment Bill. The committee is planning to consider the legal opinion on the 16th of February, deliberations on the 19th, and further deliberations on the 3rd, 9th, and the 10th of March. The aim is to finalize the bill on the 16th of March. The next update is on slide number 16, Madam Speaker. It is also a Domestic Violence Amendment Bill before PC on Justice and Correctional Services. The committee is considering the legal opinion on the bill on the 16th of February, and the plan is to finalize the bill on the 24th of March. The next update is on slide number 17, also before PC on Justice and Correctional Services. It is the Correctional Services Amendment Bill. The committee is planning briefings on the 5th of February, deliberations on the 16th and the 17th, and the aim is to finalize on the 17th of February. The next update is on slide number 18. It is also a Criminal and Related Matters Amendment Bill before PC on Justice and Correctional Services. The committee is considering the legal opinion on the 16th of February with the aim to have final deliberations and finalization of the bill on the 24th of March. The next update is on slide number 20. Before PC on Justice and Correctional Services, it is a Recognition of Customary Marriages Amendment Bill. The committee is planning briefings on the 10th of February, deliberations on the 12th of March, the aim to finalize on the 19th of March. The next update, Madam Speaker, is on slide number 26. It is the Liquor Products Amendment Bill before PC on Agriculture, Land Reform and Rural Development. The committee is planning final consideration of the bill on the 16th of February. The next update is on slide number 32. It is Sectional Titles Amendment Bill before PC on Agriculture, Land Reform and Rural Development. The committee is planning briefings on the 23rd of February. The next update is on slide number 33. Before PC on Agriculture, Land Reform and Rural Development, it's Agricultural Product Agent Amendment Bill. The committee is planning briefings on the 23rd of February. The next update is on slide number 34. Before PC on COMMITTE, it is the Local Government Municipal Structure Amendment Bill, which has been returned from the NCOP. The committee will schedule further deliberations on the bill. The next update is on slide number 35, also before COMMITTE. It is Customary Initiation Bill, also returned from the NCOP. The committee is to schedule further deliberations. The next update is on slide number 46. On this slide, it's statutory appointments before PC on Justice and Correctional Services, the filling of vacancy with the South African Human Rights Commission. The committee had advertised, the advert closed on the 31st of December, and other activities The committee planned discussions on the 26th of January, shortlisting on the 10th of February, interviews on the 23rd and 24th of February, and the date of finalization is still to be decided, but it will be during the first term. On slide number 46, the matter of NYDA, members have already deliberated. What we have from the committee is the meeting on the 16th of February. I believe this has been overtaken by the deliberations. The next update is on slide number 51. It is a matter before PC on Police, appointment of members of the Critical Infrastructure Council. The committee has sent out adverts that are closing on the 22nd of February. Further activities will be scheduled. The last update is a petition before PC on Human Settlements, Water and Sanitation. That is Banero Park, Kipton Park residents. The committee is planning to finalize this petition on the 2nd of March. This concludes our report, Madam Speaker.
Honorable members, floor is open. Any takers? Member Jodina?
Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, let me welcome this report from committee section and support the deadlines, especially on the pieces of legislation that are going to be a response on gender-based violence and femicide. I would really urge that the committees that are dealing with these amendments, if they could, as per the time frame, finalize these amendments at least by end of March, which is a Human Rights Month, because women's rights and children's rights are human rights. So it will assist us if we could finalize by that time. Then, Chair, on the issue of court rulings on certain legislation, is there any indication that there are legislations that we're supposed to attend to as Parliament that we might not be able to complete them based on the time frame by court? I just want to be on the safer side. Then lastly, Chair, Honorable Speaker, on the COMMITTE bills, are these bills having any impact on the forthcoming local government elections that they must be fast-tracked? Thank you very much.
Thank you. And Tate Frolic?
No, thank you, Honourable Speaker, and thank you to the Chief Whip for those comments. In terms of the COMMITTE bills, the committee, acting manager of committees will be able to respond to that. And if he is not able to do so, then we will give a comprehensive response in the next NAPC, Madam Speaker. May I just say, Honourable Speaker, the point raised by the Chief Whip is very important. And I had discussions in the last week with the chairperson of the Portfolio Committee on Justice and Correctional Services. And it deals with deadlines set by the Constitutional Court for certain matters to be attended to as far as legislation is concerned that we have passed. And the chairperson raised the concern that says that although there's timeous interaction from the committee through legal services of Parliament with the relevant departments, the departments take extraordinarily long to respond to these concerns that has been raised by the Constitutional Court that Parliament must correct. And what is happening is that the draft bills are not even tabled in time. And eventually when it gets tabled, it arrives in Parliament right on the verge of the Constitutional Court deadline, which then shifts the focus to Parliament as if Parliament is not taking up the responsibility to bring about the necessary amendments. Now, you know, Honourable Speaker, that committees have the right to introduce bills. And Parliament, the NA in this case, must seriously consider, instead of waiting endlessly for departments to bring about these changes, to effect committee bills. so that we can honor those constitutional core deadlines. Ultimately, when a department table these draft bills very late, just before the constitutional court deadline, they shift then the responsibility from the department to Parliament to ask for an extension. And that cannot be correct, Madam Speaker.
I agree. Tate Papo?
Speaker, what the Chair of Chairs is raising is very important. The Leader of Government Business in 2 cabinet meetings last year raised this issue. It will still be raised again. And there are processes to try and circumvent this, both at in the office and within various ministries, so that this thing does not continue, where people just have a lackadaisical approach. It was raised very, very sharply, and the teams in the various ministries and in the office have met to basically consider what this committee has said in relation to these delays.
Morning, Speaker, and thank you. And this is an issue which, you know, Speaker, myself and you and the Deputy Speaker have been raising for a long time, and we do get a briefing. I'm sure the legal services will brief us on this as well. I also mentioned this when the Justice Committee appeared in the Constitutional Court when the Chief Justice was given his annual report. I mentioned it there to the Chief Justice as a concern, because often when one applies for an extension and even an extension is not granted, he made it very clear that there's nothing to prevent Parliament itself bringing amendments, and that would be a committee bill. So thank you. This is a matter, Speaker, you know, it is before us continually, but just with the Justice Committee, we're under pressure with the GBV bills, but we also have a Constitutional Court deadline on a correctional services piece that's got to be dealt with urgently. So thank you, Speaker. As I say, this is a matter which we have been seized with for some time.
Thank you. Thank
you, Mayor. I agree with the Chair of Chairs and the support from Honorable Swart. In fact, Madam Speaker, we have delegated lawmaking to the executive. And so the approach that we should take is that when such deadlines are given to us by the Constitutional Court, we should give the executive deadlines that will allow us, in the event they don't meet the deadline, for us to have enough time to do the legislation as Parliament through committees that are appropriate to it, so that we don't leave it vague and unclear, but we specifically create deadlines that are that will enable committees to proceed in time to meet the deadline, so that it becomes very clear that if there is no response within certain time frames, we proceed to do the amendment as committees. So we appreciate that indeed it is being discussed, as Honorable Papo is saying, but I think we should be, in other words, because of the past experience, we practically putting deadlines that allow the committee and Parliament to be able to meet the deadlines properly and so on. So that would be my recommendation on that matter.
That is what I see your hand up again. Do you want to come back, or was it an old? Is it an old hand?
I'm an old hand at this, so it's an old hand. Thank you. And it's
okay.
If you speak, it's noted.
And that Papo, you want to come back? Your hand is
the proposal by the Deputy Speaker, which I assume will be accepted by the NAPC, it's actually correct that deadlines then be set for internal parliamentary deadlines be set, so that Parliament is able to meet those deadlines of the Constitutional Court. Before, it was just an open-ended sort of mandate, which, as the Deputy Speaker says, created problems for Parliament. And that will actually then help, so that people understand that this issue is very, very serious in all the ministries.
I agree. You know, I have always argued that when a bill is sent from the executive to parliament, it becomes parliament's business. Up to the point when that bill is then debated in the House, because the last dot on that bill comes from the signature of the chairperson. At least that's what I used to insist on when I was a chairperson. I have asked questions about the bills which don't pass the court master and they are sent back to Parliament, why they then become again bills, so to speak, when in fact they should be coming back